pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Peter Somerville, Town Councilman.
Ed Vanaki, Town Councilman. John Dolce, Town Supervisor.
Randy Bates, Town Councilman.
Brian Wood, Town Councilman.
Victoria Craker, Town Clerk.
Audience comments, anything, please. Not much of an audience, but that's me.
Oh, wow.
You were here for something
Like a
else.
man's man.
The shirt.
Would you like to discuss an audience comment?
No, I was just making
Okay.
a joke out of the comment, that's all.
Okay.
I move we accept the minutes from the July 11th, 2024 regular meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
Motion carried. I have no budget modifications or transfers.
I'll make a motion, we sign all vouchers, or we pay all signed vouchers and bills.
Second.
So I got-
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. Old business. Mintel submitted an application to Carnival Rensselaerville broadband. Jim Barker expects to hear back from the state within the next 60 days. I spoke to,
Is that Rensselaerville proper or Rensselaerville town hub?
Town.
they,
I don't think so.
I spoke to Lucas Rogers today, and he said that what they applied for is for 400 parcels to be hooked up to,
It's not just in the village.
it's not just the village.
Yeah,
And
no, I'm just,
he asked me to, and Vicky did this for me. On behalf of the town of Rensselaerville, I'm writing to express our strong support for Midtel's grant application to expand its fiber network within our community. Enhance connectivity, economic growth, quality of life. So Lucas Rogers sent me this letter, which Vicky put on our letterhead, and I'm going to sign tonight and give it forward, saying, we believe that Midtel's expertise and commitment to excellence make it an ideal partner for this project. The town of Rensselaerville is fully supportive of this initiative and looks forward to the positive impact that it will have on our community. So,
is there any way that when we have a conversation with our broadband committee, that they provide us with a map of people who have absolutely no wired broadband availability?
Midtel has that map. They can give us it. That
Yeah,
map.
but I'm not so sure it's as accurate. They have a map of what they have, right? Like, I know there are people that are griping like, oh, well, that the fiber Midtel didn't come up 145. And my argument is, it doesn't need to come up 145 because, I'm having a little mini stroke here, but
do you hear something?
Yeah.
it's your phone, somebody's phone. It's out there. If you have, cable, what's Mid-Hudson Cable, they do a whole area. That's high-speed internet. I have it in my house. So, I feel like there are people that think that they just want to be on the Midtel one. And that, I don't care about giving like a whole menu of options as long as they have somebody. I'm just curious, is there a way that we could see a map of what streets have it? Whether, because they just brought down, like my aunt and uncle who live off of Engle Road that goes up past Tanglewood to the left.
Yeah.
And they just got it, and it come from like Margaretville Telephone or something like that. So it's come down the hill. So I think I'm just curious, is there a map? So all of Preston Hollow wouldn't be able to write that we don't have broadband internet, because we do. If you don't like Mid-Hudson Cable, their rate or whatever, that's a different argument. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
I'd just like to see that map, where are we really at in the town of Rensselaerville for lack of broadband?
But there was a Mid-Hudson employee on Rut Road about 4 weeks ago, and he was surveying the telephone poles. And so I spoke with him, and he was laying out the route for the cable. And he said Mid-Hudson was the roads, he said that he had surveyed so far was Wilson Road and Rut Road, and cable was definitely coming through there.
Just gonna say, so like, when the truck got stuck over here and buried, they were running, fiber optic cable for, broadband and stuff. So, like, I just feel, I'm not saying we wouldn't support it, but if we're gonna write letters of support, like, we should really be supporting, places that that have nothing, that they have to buy the dish or something like that, and that is just not as superior as having a hardwired
Sure.
fiber line into your house. I mean, I know that somewhat's good, Starlink and, whatever, the HughesNet and stuff,
Using it, yeah.
but it's not as good and reliable as it is.
So the broadband committee does have maps on Mid-Tel, the Hudson Cable,
Okay.
they do have the maps.
Yeah, maybe we could put
The
them over.
government also has maps, which were incorrect,
Right,
and they had discussed that. Excuse me, the reason why Lucas Rogers called today was we're just signing anything
yeah, no,
to get anything.
yeah, no, understood.
you
He's
know?
from the county.
I'm sorry?
Lucas Rogers is from the county.
Yes.
Yeah, he's from the county executive.
So, he said 400 households.
Good.
But he said, don't hold me to that, John. He says, this is just preliminary.
Once they get it in.
It's been years and nothing's happened, so.
So, I would like to just sign this letter of support, whatever.
Yeah, no, I
blessing,
agree, yeah. Anything's better than nothing.
And
Try it.
just move forward.
The other one we should look at too, and I'm not certain as a concern, but it may be, is with Mid-Hudson and Mid-Tel. Are they competing or are they working together? And what about our franchise agreement that the town has with Mid-Hudson? Is that preventing Mid-Tel from advancing? Is there a conflict there?
So my understanding is that these agreements with Mid-Tel, Mid-Hudson, Mid-Hudson is a cable agreement, it's not, so they're not fighting each other. They're just want to get, not want to get, they really don't want.
Yeah, but just don't get confused because now everything is fiber, right? So cable now is fiber. So, saying that Mid-Hudson is TV and Mid-Tel is internet, it's not.
It's
Because
not.
Mid-Tel is internet, which brings you TV, and Mid-Hudson is cable, which brings you internet.
Yeah, they both offer both.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's just, one is known for its communication and one is known for its entertainment, more or less. With TV versus
So
television.
we only have an agreement with Mid-Hudson Cable.
Right.
And how much did we collect? Not $6,000.
No, it was 5 something, 5,500 maybe.
What do we get paid from Mid-Tel?
Nothing.
Why do we get paid from Mid-Hudson?
Because we have a franchise
Because
agreement.
they have exclusive right to the town.
Well, I think Randy's question is valid, like if we're talking to them at some point, we should just ask, is there anything that's, if tomorrow you had unlimited funds, is there anything standing in the way of you, blanketing the town of Rensselaer? And they say, sure, yeah, because Mid-Hudson's got, this, and we should look at it.
So we hold them back. Mid-Tel, because we have a contract with,
Right, we should just ask, and in fairness, ask Mid-Hudson the same thing. Is there something that, if you had unlimited funds, that would hold you back from blanketing the town of Rensselaerville? But I also want to know more about like this Margaretville telephone company that come down, the mountain. That's interesting to me.
sure,
And they, if we have a population up in the upper parts of Potter Hollow that are out, maybe we could work with them.
Isn't most of the village done by Mid-Tel?
with Hudson.
I think Mid Hudson's been over there, in Village Rental.
Pond Hill Road is all Mid-Tel.
It may be, I'm not saying that they do all of it.
Well,
Pond Hill,
they're both in Rensselaer.
That's what I was gonna say, both.
But the fire department reached an agreement with Mid Hudson.
we have, Mid Hudson gives us cable for free.
And here, for the town of.
I don't have cable, and I probably never will.
Good lord. Sad, Pete, it's very sad.
So I will find out if
Okay.
there's an agreement that's hindering the other company. I think that's the question.
I'm just curious more. I don't know.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, this is odd because Mid-Tel extended the cable down 145, they stopped at the Albany County line. But then they went up to Crystal Lake and came down Cheese Hill all the way to 145. It makes no sense why it was done that way, so I just wonder if there was a conflict with.
She's doesn't have that many houses.
Exactly.
My understanding is that it was to take care of,
Until it comes down to
Yeah,
Cheese
you know,
Hill.
Mid Hudson went up it.
No, it was,
I forgot.
it was to take care of the training facility up there.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
That's why they bypassed all the homes
Yeah.
originally on Cheese Hill.
okay.
All right, I'll follow up with that. But I will sign this letter.
Agreed.
The next is old business. Is hydrants.
Is that old business?
That's all.
Hydrants are old.
Running the eye first, okay? We've been talking about hydrant replacements for the longest time, and we are on the precipice of actually getting some work done. So I've come here this evening to request a motion from the board to allow us to go ahead and order equipment. You see in front of you materials list that we put together for 4 hydrants and associated equipment, or materials, I should say, along with Andre Ledoux's cost per day. He said somewhere between 3 and 4 days. I just rounded up to 4 days to be on the high side. We have 29, the total cost or estimate would be $23,601. In the hydrant account, we have 29,000, which would leave us a balance of 5767 if in fact he actually needed all 4 days to finish the work. The costs that you see there were quoted from FW Webb and Latham, which is the second page. The amount is really not relevant because the gentleman who sent me the quote only used quantity 1 while we're doing 4 hydrants, so I multiplied a few of the line items times 4, for a couple of them. And the list of hydrants that were identified, we collaborated with the Rensselaerville Fire Department so that we're not only taking care of the water district, but also the concerns of the fire department and protection of the hamlet. Route 85, or the pocket park is we know it that way, the T intersection where 85 meets 351. The hydrant across from Conklin Hall, 8 Methodist Hill Road. One on Trinity Lane or 261, right by the Trinity Church, and one, it's sort of midway between the Pocket Park and the Rensselaerville Park, or playground. So it's like halfway down the hill. That one's been defective for years. So what we'd like to do, if the town approves, I think Jason was okay with this, but I'm not sure I actually talked to him about it, so maybe that's my imagination. Did I give you one of these? I did. That FW Web would ship here, deliver here, and hopefully, I mean, this stuff could be stored outside, it doesn't need to be indoors. And then when we get Andre on the calendar, which is the next step, he'll come and pick it up, so the town doesn't have to move it or anything, just receive it and put it somewhere where it's accessible. Any questions?
Two. This will probably be a broken record question that I'll ask every time that you want to replace hydrants. One is, I assume that they will be functional in the event of a fire emergency, correct?
That is the purpose.
Two, the last time they used one, we ended up with a water main break because there was maybe some misunderstanding on how to open or close. Not the hydrant, because that you can't open and close fast, but you can open and close your engine valve fast. Are you confident that since that occurrence, that the fire department is good with their use of hydrants?
Before I answer that question directly, I think it was just an unfortunate set of circumstances that caused that water main break. Like you're saying, and if Ken Camo was here, who's been a fireman for
Yep.
45 years,
Very
he'd
smart.
say, I've never seen a water hammer. I think it'd be impossible for us to have done that. I think the reality is that part of the main that was right near that hydrant had a break in it, was defective. It may have already been leaking, yet undetectable to the naked eye.
Yeah, I will tell you, and this is at all no disrespect to Ken, right? Ken comes from a fire department where they used hydrants and they didn't typically fill booster tanks on hydrants, right? Off of hydrants or fill tankers, right? I've seen a ton, and when I say a ton, at least more than 10 water hammers, mostly from hooking your fire truck to the hydrant and running it into your fire truck. And what happens is you're trying to fill what we call the booster tank. That's the tank that's on the engine, right?
Right.
So the way we know it's full is at the top, there's an overflow, and then it runs down underneath the truck. And once it's full, the water starts running on the bottom. And what we typically do is slam the valve shut because it's full, right? When you slam the valve shut, that's what happens.
Reverse
So, yeah, so I mean, and in
When you-
fairness to the chiefs of that fire department, is there's a tremendous turnover too in firefighters. So your core guys might not be there to fill the truck after the car fire, and you have new guys. So, one thing I would think would be the easiest is, you have a hydrant bag, right? And when you put your hydrant in the truck, you use a slow open, slow close valve to fill the truck. Or we have a fireman's friend valve, which has no valve on it. There's no way to put a valve on it. So when the truck is full, you crank the hydrant shut and then it stops putting water in the truck.
It's a slow close.
And a hydrant is a slow open, slow close.
Yeah.
My brother broke his hand on the
Oh, you
very
told me.
thing. With running into a truck, the truck was overflowed. He was trying to shut it closed, but because we were moving so fast, there's so much water, that as he was slowly closing it, he was using a butterfly valve and it just caught and then closed and caused water hammer. Threw him probably 25 feet and landed broken arm. So we have since changed and used different valves that are you crank like a ball valve, slow open, slow close. So
Yeah.
that would be the two things I just want to make sure that you're familiar with and you're comfortable with, and so.
Well, one of the things that we know we want out of this is the regular maintenance,
Yeah.
which we haven't practiced
Right.
for decades,
Well,
long
they've been
before
broke too,
I
so.
moved here, and so to flush the mains
Yep.
from various
idea.
hydrants twice a year
Good idea.
is gonna become regular practice.
Yep.
So hopefully that kind of thing shouldn't happen anymore. However, there's always a possibility that it can, but the replacement project, the work that when it takes place, will actually be a flush of the lines itself,
Right.
right?
Yeah, and the other concern would just be, water level, like that's gonna have to work
Yeah.
between you and the
Yeah.
fire department, because if it's a low, if we keep the water we'll suck that dry in
Right.
5 minutes.
Well, we're gonna need to notify the town long before the work, or when the work is scheduled, but we'll schedule it at least, 2 weeks in advance or something like, or 2 weeks out, I should say. Notify the town. Make sure that we can get the tank up to its, potentially the highest level that we can get it to, before we actually do that work. So we're gonna prepare for it as best we can.
Excuse me, I have a question for Brian.
Yeah.
Are there different types of hydrants?
Well, the same hydrants open and close flow, that by their nature, right? It's when I talk about it, it's the different types of connections to the fire truck, which can cause problems.
So that involves training.
Train,
Yeah, that's an education.
yeah,
Okay.
Well,
slow, right. Yeah,
I mean, we still gotta do the hydrants.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's an aged infrastructure over there, the water system. So we have to treat it delicately, right? It has to be treated delicately because we don't want that type of problem.
Yeah, we've been complaining about the water district that it's, the filtration plant is 80 years old. Well, and yet the distribution and the system and the hydrants were done 40 years ago. So I mean, I know that's an okay age.
It's
for
probably better
hydrants.
than like Troy, where they're still going through some wood water mains.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You spoken to Andre recently?
Yes. Yeah, he's on board. He's giving me the estimates. We have talked, we text, we email. Yeah. So we're communicating.
So you might be able to get that done.
Yeah. I'm very hopeful that we can. So,
Also, excuse me,
yes,
Ed and I have spoken about these hydrants, ones that are basically on Main Street, that are in operation at this point,
right.
right?
Right where the most density of wooden homes is, right? Those row houses are right there.
Well, your biggest risk of a major fire is there,
Yeah.
right? I mean, certainly any home, there's a lot of big homes in Rensselaer, Harm Hill, Methodist Hill, big homes there, but a lot of those homes on those roads stand alone, and God forbid they were on fire, you would never want to see that, but it's, the risk to another structure is minimal in those areas
And
versus,
then on the other hand, the one across from Conklin Hill is really important because Conklin Hall, sorry, because there's nothing really useful on Methodist Hill Road. The one at the top of the hill, which is brand new,
Probably
there's
gets
very
about-
little water
yeah,
pressure up
low
there, so
pressure,
unfortunately. That's not
Yeah.
easy. Did that answer your question, John?
Yes.
Are you looking for a motion?
I expect that I need permission to go ahead and place this order, so yes.
I'll, being that the fact that there's, the money appears to be there in the hydrant account, $29,400 plus or minus. And the estimate is for $23,600. I make a motion that the water district be able to move ahead and get this one.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. Okay, on the new business, the accountant is not here. But we filed the annual financial report, and it was accepted by New York State. And unfortunately, I just got it today, so I didn't review it. And Ryan will be taking a little bit of a deep dive. Because I wanted him to explain this to us. And
I'm sure he'll be here in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just ask him to be here in 2 weeks.
okay.
I mean, it's nothing that's time sensitive, we just need to know, so it's not gonna hurt if we know in 2 weeks.
Right.
Or-
So it's all already given to the state, which is accepted.
Ask him in the next meeting or the meeting after, if he can please make sure he's here to give us an explanation or.
So this is for the 3 previous years,
2023.
21, 22, and
We had we filed an extension.
Yeah, but wait, you're saying, Randy's saying it's for 21, 22, and 23, or just?
No, just 23, I'm sorry. So it says, actually, you guys don't have a copy. For the fiscal period, January 1 of 23 to 12/31 of 23.
We probably, do we have something to compare?
Well, we have it every year. Every year, we have to do,
No, I know, but Andy's looking.
Well, I have to keep a comparison of 3 years.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if we have a, you know, if you have it.
3 years,
Yeah, so it's just a comparison. Right.
which is pretty easy.
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
we have one to share.
You want it? Right. Well, I will review it. All right, any other audience comments?
I have a couple. I was just curious, what is the AUD? What is the annual update document?
Annual financial report
Ah,
for every
yes.
municipality.
Okay. That's number one. Thank you. So looking at, and I apologize for not being here on the first of the month meeting to make my report presentation, and thank you, John, for reading it out loud. Looking at the minutes from that last meeting, and the accountant's report has, number 2, new accounts have been created internally to account for the expenses incurred by the water district, namely CTL's engineering report, the GMG consulting income survey, and sustainable growth. I just sort of want to raise a flag and point out that because there was also discussion of bond later in the evening, or even the accountant's report had something to do with bond, and then the attorney speaks about the water district bond. When we did when we participated in the budget workshops for 2024, last September or last fall, we had created a line item for consultants, $4,000. And then that was actually broken out of a miscellaneous contingency budget. So there's roughly, $11,000 to $12,000 there that we knew we might need to use for consultants and things of that nature. So I just want to make sure there isn't any confusion over that. I don't necessarily want to see us or the water district residents paying interest in the bond for sustainable growth or the income surveys expenses. That should come right out of the budget that we have created for them.
So
Does that make sense?
can I reiterate that? So in 2024 budget for the water district, we had budgeted $4,000 for consultants. We had put that sustainable growth, we had taken out of that budget line. And for some reason, Brian switched that into this PER.
More of a
What's PER?
preliminary engineering report. That's the CT mail work, which
Right.
is a significant amount of money, $67,300.
So
That's what we want done.
Put those together for this bond. I had talked to Ed and said, well, a couple things, but, we have I shouldn't go over this thing, but we have money in the sewer fund. And, which we're not using. So his question is, why are we taking, if we budgeted $4,000, why are we taking a bond for $1,500 or $2,000 when it should have been taken out of that line item? And I was expecting Brian to be here to ask him that question, but I don't have an answer.
I understand, and, yeah,
So
I was just
that's
taking
his
the up.
question.
Okay, so let me ask this question. So it sounds like a very common problem where you have a bunch of per diem part-time people are trying to solve major issues, right? So can't we just do something with a simple conference call where we put you and Brian? We don't have to be here in town hall. It seems like a question that should be able to be answered.
Yeah, because it takes a month each time.
Exactly.
To get
So
together.
when this is happening, why can't we just do a Teams meeting, a Zoom meeting, or a conference call? And you can do a three-way call on your cell phone if that's the case, and just get it taken care of. It just seems like,
Well, we planned on following through with this.
I know, but planned on, I'm not blaming or picking on anything, but I'm just saying, you just said it. If you plan on, like, we'll talk to Brian the next time, but then you talk to Brian because of other town business and you bring this up, but Ed's not there. Like, it just seems like it's easy with just one thing to say, hey, Brian, I'm gonna bring Ed in on this call and add him, right? You know,
Yeah, Tuesday.
or whoever.
Well, yeah, I was here Tuesday, Brian was there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but look, at the end of the day, we're not gonna have an accountant that's gonna be here every single Tuesday.
No, I
You
understand.
know, so, and we can't expect you to be able to be free at the drop of a dime, where I do not like virtual meetings, but I do have a value in them at times where it's difficult to get everybody on the same page, where we can just be like, hey, let's have a
Give me a
meeting.
call, get it done.
So I just like to, just keep that in mind. If this seems like something simple, it probably an explanation, probably will be like, well, I use this money here, so this will replace it or something. And everybody will either be at ease, or we can find the problem and fix it before we get the bond and be done. You know, I just think sometimes, because we are a small town and we everybody here has real, you know, grown-up jobs that it sounds so bad, but like we have to go do our real jobs all week, you know, and we all have different schedules. Sometimes we may have to do something virtually just so that we can get on the same page. And if you're not technically savvy enough, I'm sure if you can help you or.
well, I'm definitely follow up.
Yeah.
We will always do it tonight.
I did call Brian, I left a message, he would put that to me. So,
Yeah.
my only concern was if the attorney was working towards putting a bond together for this project, that it only be for the CT mail component of it.
And it would be my opinion as an outsider who doesn't really delve into this too much, that if there was 4,000 in an account that we should have used instead of taking it out on a bond, in the grand scheme of the long range plan of redoing the water infrastructure, probably you're not gonna see a big difference. That we'll put that 4,000 away somewhere to be used later when we're gonna do something
Well,
else.
you know, now that you say that, I mean, we literally have, this is the June 30th, actual versus, or,
Yeah.
you know, budgeted versus actual. We've only expended $1,039 of unexpended balance of the contingency fund is $11,750, so we haven't spent a dime of that.
Yeah.
And, CT now has its own line item, but that's not correct at the moment. I know, Brian's gonna address that, but the $4,000 has also not been expended. So
Yeah.
that almost $12,000, we could not only pay sustainable growth and, the income survey out of that, we could take a portion of that balance and pay down the CT mail bill and only bond a smaller number.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make sense?
Yes.
I didn't thought of that just now. It's like, why not?
I'll definitely,
I'll be here
maybe
Tuesday.
Tuesday, we
Yeah,
just
we can,
meet with,
Yeah.
Brian and just take it.
Good.
The money's there, we're just not expending it back. Or there may be a reason why.
Right.
that's the last of my audience comments. Thank you.
Okay, any other ones?
Thank you, Ed.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of discussing labor negotiations.
All in favor? Aye.
All right.
All right. let's move it. Thank you.